in Google Docs किया था. And in your docs, you saw how you could actually enter the different kinds of data, which was in the form of maybe meeting notes, your letters, your essays, etc. But now suppose I want to enter data and I want to run some calculations on that particular data. And thus we come to a software called as Microsoft Excel spreadsheet. And we also have Google Sheets along with it. So I yesterday we worked a little bit in Google Docs, so I hope that you're very familiar with the Google interface. I'll just share my screen. So uh, I'm going to share my entire screen. I think that will be better. So this is how your Google Sheet looks like. It's somewhat similar to your Google Docs, except that you will be having a few different functionalities which might include calculations. So I've decided that since yesterday we did work in Google Documents, so today I will just work on a Microsoft based interface, and that is why let's use Excel for that. All right. I hope everybody is very. I know that everybody is very familiar with this interface because we've been working on it ever since we were in school. Google Sheets is something new, but it's almost the same. So there are some functionalities from Google Documents and there are other functionalities as well. In case there is something different between MS Excel and Google Sheets, I'll let you know. So this is the interface of the software of Microsoft Excel. Uh, at the very top, we have something called as a title bar, where your title is going to be written. So right now the title is Book 2 of MS Excel. Below the title bar, we have something called as a tab bar. Okay, so we are very used to these orthodox technical terms, which are not even technical terms. You if we are trying to explain it to somebody, हम कहते हैं अरे वो फाइल का बटन दबा दे उससे ये आ जाएगा या insert का बटन दबा दे उससे ये आ जाएगा. So that is not a button; it is actually a tab. Okay, so under the title bar, you have got something called as a tab bar. And belonging to each tab bar is a ribbon bar जिसके components change होते हैं depending on whatever tab that you have clicked on. Okay, so we have several tab bars now. Extra 3 tabs I have added, which is a developer tab, a power pivot, and an automate tab. uh, After the tab bar is a ribbon bar, and then below the ribbon bar we have two things. The first is a formula bar, which is there in the center. And at the very left, I have something called as a name box. Okay, which basically whatever cell that I'm going to select, it's going to tell me what is the name of that particular cell. And then after all of this, we have a very continuous formation of boxes. Okay, they are not boxes, they are actually cells. So अगर आप देखोगे, when you take a look at the horizontal lines, they are columns, and we represent columns with alphabets. And all of these vertical lines which are there, they are representing rows, and we have named these rows. We have numbered them actually. So they are numbered from top to bottom, and your columns are alphabetically lettered from the left hand side to the right hand side. I'm not going to include numbers here because when I say alphabetically lettered, then that means that right after I finish with the letter Z, I start with AA, AB, AC, AD, all the way till AZ, and then I start with BA, BB, BC, and BD and BZ, all the way. Okay, so it will go on, and then we go into the triple alphabet category. I don't think any of us has ever seen data like that. It usually might occur in some office databases. And so when the column gets intersected by a row, a box is formed, and we call this box as a cell. CELL. Okay? So what you see on the screen right now are a lot of cells, and you can fit in information. Okay. So your information can be in the form of a text, it can be in the form of a numbers, it can be in the form of symbols, it can be pictures, your images, etc. And so let's begin with some. Uh, so I'll just go over the basic, and then basic for 5 minutes, and then we can begin with the advanced version of MS Excel. I would like to go over the basic because there are some things that you might not have come across. Okay. So basically, when I'm entering data, suppose I enter KJ Somaya College of Science and Commerce. Okay, sometimes if your data is too long and you would like to fit it to a certain width, what you can do is that you can simply wrap the text, and after wrapping the text, you can just increase the width of the column, and this can maybe go like this to remove any space, blank space which is available. So we have some alignment terms over here. We have wrap text, merging and center. You can even orient a text maybe diagonally, horizontally, or vertically, and so on. Okay. Apart from this, there is a very important concept of format cells. Basically क्या होता है जब हम enter करते हैं कोई सा भी information, so we have the liberty to enter that information according to the type that we want to enter it. ठीक है. For example, if I'm entering a number, it depends on me how many decimal places I would like, or how many decimal places I would not like, whether I want to use a thousand separator. Okay. So if you are if you're working for an income tax firm, or if you're working for some accountancy firm, you might feel the need to use a thousand separator, which basically is the comma which comes after the unit 10, etc. And how would you like to represent negative numbers? So there's a whole lot of category over here. This category all belongs to numbers. So in that you've got currency, you've got accounting, you've got your date, what kind of date, how would you like to show your date, how would you like to show the time, and then percentage, fraction, any scientific digits that you might be having, the text, special, and if you want to customize, you can also customize as well. Okay, and then we have got alignments over here, fonts, border, the fill, and the protection. So all of this comes under the format cell. Basically, you can exactly what data the cell is holding, you can change it according to how you want. These two are very, very important concepts, and these concepts are going to help us when we take a look at the advanced version of Microsoft Excel. So I think everybody has come across data entering, है ना. Data enter करने सबको आता है, मे बी calculate करने भी आता है, but उसके बाद क्या करना है, उसके आगे क्या करना है, that we are not sure. Okay. So suppose, since you all are mostly FY BCom students, I can have something of principle, the rate of interest, your time, and we can have something of simple interest. Okay. And suppose that somebody has already given you the values of the principal, the rate of interest, let it be say 3.5, and the time, let us say that the time is 80, and somebody is asking you to calculate the simple interest, right? So we might come across some people who are actually putting in the values. Simple interest is nothing but P into R into T upon 100, right? So why am I adding that 5,000 when the user has already added 5,000? So basically, I just need to teach the computer, the data is already there. Now I want to simply teach the computer how to find out that particular data. Okay. तो अगर मुझे ये वाली रो का सिंपल इंटरेस्ट फाइंड आउट करना है, दैट मीन्स आई नीड टू टेक आउट द प्रिंसिपल फर्स्ट. Where is the principal? The principal is in this cell. So I'm simply going to click on that cell and the name of the cell, which is B4, that is going to appear over here. Okay. And then I multiply it with C4, appeared over here, which is then multiplied with your D4. It's already there in the name box, slash 100. And so the simple interest gets calculated. One very important thing which I have done here is that I have started to find out the simple interest with an equal to sign. So equal to symbol क्या करेगा? It is simply going to tell the computer that now it is your turn to calculate something, or it is your turn to do some work by your own self. So I will guide it. I will give it the information. I will also guide it how to calculate. But then in the end, it is the computer which has to calculate, and that is why I always start my formula with an equal to sign. So whether it is a function or whether it is a formula, please make sure that you are starting with an equal to sign. Had this equal to sign not been there, then only the formula would have been visible from my end. Okay. So I know the formula, but I want the computer to work it out, and that is why I need to make sure that I put in an equal to sign so that the computer knows कि अच्छा हाँ मुझे कुछ calculation करना है या okay I need to do some work on my own behalf. Okay. So as I said, Microsoft Excel is something which is going to help you in your calculations. So we are going to use a formula, we are going to use our functions for the calculations, and that is why we are always going to start with an equal to sign. Okay, all right. Now this is a formula which I think is very commonly known. We know that simple interest is P into R into T uh, divided by 100. Now, suppose that I've got another client who says that this is the principal and this is the rate of interest that he has, and suppose he needs it in 5 months. So I don't need to put in the formula again. What I can simply do is I can select this particular cell where the formula is there originally. And if you see, there is a square box at the bottom. At the right hand bottom, there is a square box. Now you see there, notice my cursor. मेरा cursor ऐसा है, ठीक है? When I'm going to take my cursor on this small square box on the right hand bottom corner, my cursor changes. And the moment my cursor is going to change, what am I going to do? I'm going to left click and I'm going to drag it down. And when I drag it down, it is the same formula. It is the same formula that I've written. But over here, I had chosen B4, C4, and D4. And when I go on the next line, it becomes B5, C5, and D5. So this indicates a level of artificial intelligence on behalf of the computer. The computer understood that I went to the next line. And as soon as it understood that I went to the next line, it realized that there were some numbers which I had written on the next line in those particular cells, and it changed the cells. So this is something called as, I'll just write it over here. It's something called as a reference. Okay. So what is a reference? One second, just telling me. A reference is nothing but the computer is going to refer to whatever position you ask it to look at. ठीक है, जैसे यहाँ पर मैंने उसको बोला B4 को देखना, C4 को देखना और D4 को देखना, तो कंप्यूटर ने वो रेफर किया. When I go to the next line, computer is automatically understood which cell it needs to refer to, which is the B5, C5 and the D5. So there are three kinds of references. सबसे पहला रेफरेंस होता है रिलेटिव रेफरेंस. ठीक है, रिलेटिव रेफरेंस मतलब आप कोई दूसरे सेल में अगर चले जाओगे तो कंप्यूटर समझ जाएगा. इसका एक एग्जांपल मैं देती हूँ. Suppose over here I write down 2, over here I write down 3, and I write down a formula over here where I'm saying please add this and please add this. Okay, L4 and L5 को आप please add कर दो. When I am going to copy paste this formula on the next line, okay, when I copy paste this formula on the next line over here, it becomes, just give me 1 minute. Okay. Okay. So I've got 5 here, right? Which was nothing but L4 plus L5. As soon as I moved on to the next line, it became L5 plus L6. So the computer has realized what I am exactly meaning to do. Now suppose I copy this and I suppose maybe just paste it here. It becomes 0. It was 8. 8 is nothing but the value, right? But what was the original thing that I had put in? It was L5 and L6. But when I copy and when I paste this over here, it becomes L4 and L5. That means I have gone up and I am in the N row, N column. तो जब मैं L column में थी, मेरे formula में everything was L. When I went to column N, it became everything N. तो ये N कैसे हुआ? कंप्यूटर को कैसे पता चला? The computer immediately understood the location that I was at एंड मैंने पिछले लोकेशन में क्या फॉर्मूला डाला था उसके अकॉर्डिंगली कंप्यूटर ने न्यू लोकेशन के अंदर वो वाला फॉर्मूला कंसिडर कर दिया. सो दिस इज कॉल्ड एज रिलेटिव रेफरेंस. कंप्यूटर रिलेट कर पा रहा है कि ये रेफरेंस एग्जैक्टली है क्या. देन आफ्टर रिलेटिव रेफरेंस देयर इज अ रेफरेंस कॉल्ड एज एब्सोल्यूट रेफरेंस. एब्सोल्यूट रेफरेंस के अंदर क्या होता है? एब्सोल्यूट रेफरेंस इज आल्सो कॉल्ड एज अ फिक्स्ड रेफरेंस. ठीक है. And the moment I say something is absolute or something is fixed, that means an introduction of a dollar symbol. And what does that dollar symbol do? It is simply going to fix whatever name you give. So suppose I have, let's write the formula over here. Okay. So I have equal to dollar this, which is going to be my L4. So I've got L dollar 4, sorry, $4 plus L $5. So L4 और L5 मैंने L के आगे भी डॉलर का सिंबल डाला है और 5 के 4 के पहले भी डाला है. सिमिलरली L के पहले भी डाला है और 5 के पहले भी डाला है. दैट मीन्स इट इज समथिंग विच इज फिक्स्ड. Now, if I am going to copy and if I am going to paste it anywhere on my Google Sheet, wherever I am going to paste, it is going to be the same thing. ये फॉर्मूला कंप्यूटर चेंज नहीं करेगा क्योंकि जैसे ही डॉलर सिंबल का इंट्रोडक्शन हुआ कंप्यूटर ने वो पर्टिकुलर सेल को फिक्स कर दिया. ठीक है. Now, why am I teaching you this reference is because suppose you said that there were total 115 responses. Okay, you are doing some feedback work and you say that there were 115 responses and set 1 की जो response थी, that was a total of 50 and set 2 की जो response थी, that was a total of 40 and set 3 की जो response थी, that was a total of 70. Okay. एंड योर बॉस टोल्ड यू कि यहाँ पे आपको क्या फॉर्मूला लगाना है. जो भी सेट 1 की रिस्पॉन्स है उसको आपको टोटल रिस्पॉन्स के साथ डिवाइड करना. ठीक है. सो डिवाइड करना है तो कंप्यूटर ये आंसर बताएगा. सो माय फॉर्मूला आई नो इज गोइंग टू स्टार्ट विद एन इक्वल टू साइन. अभी मुझे डिवाइड जो करना है दैट मीन्स दिस इज गोइंग ऑन द न्यूमरेटर एंड दिस इज गोइंग ऑन द डिनोमिनेटर. राइट. सो परफेक्ट. मेरा आंसर आ गया. Numerator, which was K17, divided by the denominator, which was K15. अभी इतना सारा है ना तो हमने तो ऑटोफिल यूज किया है. So let me autofill and do it. बट व्हेन आई ऑटोफिल देयर इज समथिंग कॉल्ड एज द डिवीजन एरर. अब ये डिवीजन एरर क्यों आया? क्योंकि उसने K16 से डिवाइड किया. एंड इफ यू सी देयर इज नथिंग इन K16. It is K15 which is there. So that means I made a mistake over here in the formula. जो मेरा न्यूमरेटर था वो चेंज हो सकता है डिपेंडिंग ऑन द रो, बट मेरा जो डिनोमिनेटर है विच इज द टोटल रिस्पॉन्सेस वो तो फिक्स है. तो व्हाट इफ आई वुड हैव सिंपली added a dollar sign over here and fixed up my formula. So my formula includes a dollar sign before K, a dollar sign before 15, which means I have locked it. So even if I do drag it down, it's not going to change. Okay, if you do take a look, K15 is as it is. The denominator K15 is as it is. So sometimes in your office, एक ऐसा टाइम आ सकता है जब आप कैलकुलेट कुछ कर रहे हो और एक साइड आपका हमेशा चेंज होगा और जो दूसरा साइड है, आई मीन मे बी द सेकेंड और द थर्ड और द फोर्थ, डिपेंड्स, the other part of your formula is not going to change. So when you do not want it to change, it is better that you put that dollar symbol and fix everything up. So it's very, very important. And the reason why I'm going to tell you is that practical based है ना lectures हमारे सारे. So there was a time when I asked the students that what you are supposed to do is that you are supposed to say or ask the user, please type a number you want a table of. Okay. So everybody has done tables, right? 1 times 1 is 1, 2 times 2 is 4, 2 times 3 is 6, 2 times 4 is 8, and so on. So what if you are trying to help some children in the school? Okay. उन्हें आपको कंप्यूटर के बारे में बताना भी है, उसकी सिग्निफिकेंस के बारे में भी बताना है, एंड देन यू आल्सो वांट to help them with their schoolwork. And most of the kids, they are very scared of mathematics, right? As soon as they say see tables, they're like, we might not be able to do it. And so this is something that you can work on. So this is a heading. I have merged several cells and I've created a heading. And then I'm going to ask the user to type the number over here. Okay? So I'm going to put in an arrow, which I'll do later. Okay? So let me just you can always go to insert and put an arrow. So I'll just let it be. Fine. Okay. Okay, I have not put the equal to, but it's considering it as a logical function. You can always insert an image of an arrow. And what I'm going to do is that I'm going to give it a border. Okay, I'm going to give it a thick outside border. So now the person knows where exactly they need to type the number. ठीक है. अभी suppose उसने यहाँ पर जो number type किया है, that is the number 5. They want a table of 5. So we know that 5 times 1 and then 5 times 2 and then 5 times 3. Right? So basically, I'm going to multiply this 5 again and again with numbers from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I think everybody is very, very familiar with autofill, right? So you write down 1, you write down 2, and then what you do is you select 1 and 2, and then you drag down. So that takes you to 10, 11, and 12. We do not want that. So when I drag down, autofill मेरे सारे numbers आ जाते हैं. And I'm simply going to say, what is the name of this cell? C4. But I want it to be fixed every time, right? What will I do? I will just add a dollar sign here, a dollar sign here, and then this needs to be multiplied, right? And how are we going to multiply it? We are going to multiply it with this. That's it. So 5 times 1 is 5. Now next line I want 5 times 2. So this is relative reference and I have made sure कि ये जो 5 है ये मेरा constant रहेगा. So let me simply just drag it down like this. So when you do drag it down like this is a relative reference. The right hand side is going to be a relative reference. The left hand side is fixed because what the number that the person has given is fixed. Okay. So 5 times 1 is 5, 5 times 2 is 10. So 5 is getting repeated. हमने 5 को fix कर दिया और 1, 2, 3, 4 वो तो relative reference है वो computer को इसके accordingly बता दिया. Now I don't want the user to see the 1 to 10. I can simply just change the font color and make it white. So it's a data which is there और आपने hide नहीं किया. It is there. If you do go here, you can see it in the formula bar. You can see 1. You can see 2. You can see 3, 4, etc. But the user, whoever is going to use, will not be able to see. You as a programmer, you know where your things are. They might not be able to see it. So all they need to do is simply enter a number, and then according to that number, as soon as they enter the number, हमने सेल रेफरेंस दिया ना, हमने कंप्यूटर को बोला कि आप ये पर्टिकुलर सेल पे देख लो. As soon as we say ये सेल पे देख लो तो सेल की वैल्यू चेंज भी हो जाएगी तो कंप्यूटर तो इन दी एंड सेल को रेफर कर रहा है वैल्यू को रेफर नहीं कर रहा. So even if you do change the value, everything is referred to automatically. So even if it is a table of a huge number, say 32, you do get your output. ठीक है. So that is the reason I took the pain to explain you about references. There is one more reference is called as mixed reference. उसके अंदर क्या होता है, one part of your formula you are going to fix a row, in the second part you are going to fix a column, and that is mixed reference. But mixed reference usually does not come in much use, so I did not explain about that. These two were very crucial, so I've explained. And in this way, you can actually create a table of any number. And it's if you want to limit yourselves to till the number 10, you can do it. Otherwise, you can go on and on. You can take it till 20, you can take it till 50, you can take it till 100. Okay? All right. After that, let us come to some functions. So in case your number is negative, there is an ABS function called as the absolute value function. What is this function going to do? It is simply going to convert whatever negative number is there into a positive number. So the negative symbol will be taken off, it will be chalked off, and the only number that you're going to be left with is a positive number. So there are many functions. Some basic functions are going to be your square root. Then you've got the minimum, you've got the maximum. Then you've got the count function, which is going to count कि आपकी कितनी रो में data है. There is a count blank function, which is going to count the number of blank rows which are there in your data. ठीक है. Suppose आप ऑफिस में हो और कोई एक एम्प्लॉयर है नया आया है and he filled up rows from 1 to 50. Even if he does fill up the rows or suppose he misses out some and you see that ये जो भी है मेरा data, it is ending at row number 50. That means there are 50 rows of data. That cannot always be true. What if the person only filled the first 10 rows और फिर उसके बाद के जो 3-4 रो थी वो उसमें उसने फिल ही नहीं किया डेटा एंड देन उसके बाद से वो फिल करते गया up till row 50. So it does not mean that you have 50 rows of data. It actually means that you have got 47 rows of data. And how many rows were there which did not have data? There were 3 rows. So that is where your count blank function is going to come in. So there are lots and lots of functions. You can go about it. There is one function which I would like to tell you about. When I'm talking about mathematical functions, of course, it will come when you are doing your accounting. There is a function called as a mod function. Does anybody have any idea what a mod function is? I will not be able to see the chat. So, in case अगर कोई unmute करके कह वो बता सकता है मुझे a mod function.
Since if you raise your hand, I'll unmute you.
Okay, fine, no problem. Suppose that I ask you to divide 32 with 5. Everybody knows old school division. ये above the roof and under the roof wala. Can somebody help me with it? Can somebody just help me with this division?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
5 6 are 30.
5 6 are 30. All right. Okay. And the remainder is
2.
2. Right. What do you call this? You call it as a quotient, right?
Yes, ma'am. Question.
And we call this as a remainder.
Yes, ma'am.
So suppose I would have asked you a question. I think that was Krish. Suppose if I would have asked you a question and I would have said कि remainder जो बचे चलेगा, decimal में मत लेके जाना, but tell me around what number will I expect an answer if I divide 32 with 5? You would have said, ma'am, expect an answer around 6, right? Because
Yes,
5
ma'am.
times 6 is 30 and then 2 is the remainder. So what happens? Suppose coming back here, suppose I do, can you see my Excel or should I just zoom in?
Yes, ma'am. It's showing.
It's showing? Okay,
Yes.
fine. Suppose I divide 32 with 5, I get my answer in 4. That means it took the decimal into consideration. Alright? And whatever answer that it is going to give me, suppose I take equal to 30 slash 5. It's going to give me my answer is 6. That means when I am dividing, the quotient comes into the picture. Right? But what if I want the remainder to come in the picture? अगर आप 5 को 32 से डिवाइड करोगे, 6 इज योर क्वोशंट, 2 इज द रिमाइंडर. मेरे को क्वोशंट जानना ही नहीं है, मुझे सिर्फ रिमाइंडर जानना है. So when I want to see the remainder, at that time we use a function called as mod. So when I divide 32, 5. So mod के अंदर दो पैरामीटर है. ठीक है, आप अपना डिवाइजर डिविडेंड लिख दो and you get your answer as 2. So the mod function is going to give you the number 2 as a remainder. Similarly, suppose I say equal to mod 37 comma 7, which is again going to give me 2 as a remainder because 7 times 5 is 35. So answer 2 बचता है. Now why exactly do I want the remainder? I want you to think, I'm just going to do something, okay? And I simply want you to think what is happening here. I'll just take a new one. Can somebody just give me how do I differentiate between an odd number and how do I differentiate between an even number? Can somebody help me with it? How do I differentiate between an odd number and an even number? Odd number क्या होता है? Even number क्या होता है?
ऑड नंबर को 2 से डिवाइड नहीं कर सकते मैम,
2
और
से
इवन
डिवाइड नहीं
नंबर
कर सकते. नहीं, 2 से तो हम हर चीज डिवाइड कर सकते हैं. बट दैट वाज अ वेरी
नहीं
नाइस पॉइंट दैट यू रेज्ड. व्हेन यू सेड 2 से डिवाइड नहीं कर सकते, इसका मतलब क्या है? You have given me the answer, but can you be more direct?
में नहीं जाता.
2 के टेबल में नहीं जाता. ठीक है. So
हाँ,
suppose I take an even number which is 14, okay, and I'm going to divide this even number with 2 because you said देखना है कि 2 के टेबल में जा रहा है कि नहीं, right? So 2 times 7 is going to be 14. The remainder is going to be 0. Let me take an odd number, 15. divided by 2. 2 times 7 is 15. Sorry, 14. The remainder is 1. Let me take a bigger number. 357 divided by 2. 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 8. Right? 1 second. This becomes 7. Okay? So I've got 2 times 1, 2. 1 carry on. 2 times 7 is 14. Okay? Which is going to give me 1 again. And then, so in the end, I'm going to get 1 as a remainder. Let me take 900 divided by 2. 1 over here, 1 over there gives me 5, 0 over here. 2 times 900 gives me my remainder as 0. Is there any pattern that you can figure out?
Ma'am,
Huh?
simply if you divide any number by 2, if the remainder is 0, it's an even number, and if not, it's not an even.
Very good. वेरी गुड. तो जब हम कोई भी नंबर हो, कितना भी बड़ा नंबर हो, अगर हम उसको 2 से डिवाइड करेंगे तो हमारे पास 2 ही पॉसिबिलिटी है, या तो 0 आएगा या तो 1 आएगा. इसके अलावा और कुछ भी नहीं आने वाला. ठीक है. सिमिलरली अगर आप नोटिस करो, लेट मी टेक से द टेबल ऑफ 5. ठीक है. लेट मी टेक अ बिगर नंबर. लेट मी टेक 20. जब मैं 20 को 5 के साथ डिवाइड करती हूँ तो रिमाइंडर कितना आता है? 0. When I'm going to divide 21 with 5, what is the remainder? 1. When I divide 22 with 5, what is the remainder? 2. 23 gives me remainder as 3. 24 gives me remainder as 4. And what does 25 give you a remainder as? 0. So again you are back to 0. तो आप जिस नंबर से डिवाइड करोगे आपके पास उतनी ही पॉसिबिलिटीज है. अगर मैं 5 से डिवाइड करूंगी, कोई सा भी नंबर हो, आप देख लो, यही 5 में से रिमाइंडर आएगा. अगर आप 2 के साथ डिवाइड करोगे, कोई सा भी नंबर हो, यही 2 रिमाइंडर आ सकते हैं. इनके अलावा और कोई रिमाइंडर नहीं आ सकता. तो एज अ गेमर, हैज एवरीबडी played that dinosaur game when the internet is not working? I
Yes,
think
ma'am.
everybody has seen that dinosaur game, right? And sometimes ऐसा लगता है, maybe Subway Surfers, sometimes suddenly you feel that the game has gone very fast. और एक बार अगर आपने सरवाइव कर लिया तो फिर वो आपको ऐसा लगता है थोड़ा नॉर्मल हो गया, एंड देन अचानक से इट गोज वेरी फास्ट एंड देन नॉर्मल. तो डेवलपर के माइंड में क्या होता है कि आपका जो स्कोर है वो तो एनीवेज इंक्रीज होने वाले हैं, राइट? और उसकी वैल्यू तो बढ़ती जाएगी. वो लोग क्या करते हैं, दे आर गोइंग टू टेक अ नंबर. ठीक है. सपोज मैं मेरे 5 का एग्जांपल ही लेती हूँ. अगर आपका स्कोर सबवे सर्फर खेलते हुए 20 हुआ तो उसका रिमाइंडर 5 से डिवाइड करोगे तो 0 है, राइट? दैट मीन्स योर स्पीड इज गोइंग टू बी नॉर्मल. When your score goes to 21, when you divide with 5, the remainder is 1, right? 5 4s are 20, bacha 1. The speed is again going to be normal. But when your score moves on to 22, जैसे ही आपका स्कोर 22 पे गया, 22 gives you a remainder of 2 when divided by 5. That means your speed has increased by 2. Then your speed increases by 3. Then your speed increases by 4. Or if you don't want to increase it with 2, 3, 4, what you can do is that you can multiply it with 2, 3, 4. So speed times 2, speed times 3, speed times 4. And at this point, at this crucial stage, the player who is playing mostly and usually dies. In case अगर वो player नहीं मरता, okay, if the player is playing and he did not die in the game, he has continued. When the score is going to move to 25, the speed will again go back to normal. And so on and so forth. तो ये मॉड्यूलस फंक्शन इज अ वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फंक्शन बिकॉज इट गिव्स यू द रिमाइंडर एज एन आउटपुट, एंड जस्ट बाय यूजिंग द रिमाइंडर देयर आर सो मेनी पॉसिबिलिटीज कि आप उसको कहाँ कहाँ यूज कर सकते हो. Similarly, suppose if 25 goes in the table of 5, the remainder is 0. If I divide 26, the remainder is 1. So you can simply say that 26 does not go in the table of 5. So any number that you take and you say इसको ये वाले टेबल में बिलोंग करता है कि नहीं, आप मॉड्यूलस फंक्शन लगा के देख लो ना. अगर आंसर आपका 0 आता है दैट मीन्स ये एक प्रॉपर डिवाइजर है. अगर आपका आंसर 0 नहीं आता दैट मीन्स दिस इज नॉट अ प्रॉपर डिवाइजर. ठीक है. So something like this also you can ask for your school students. You can ask them to please type an even number over here. Okay. So I can simply say like type now. So what we are doing is that we are calculating only. हम कैलकुलेशन ही कर रहे हैं, बट थोड़ा अच्छा वाला कैलकुलेशन करना है जो बोरिंग नहीं. ओके. So the user is going to type a number over here, right? As soon as the user types the number, हमको ये बताना है कि वो even number है कि वो odd number. So how are you going to do it? आप यहाँ पर मॉड्यूलस का फंक्शन यूज कर लो और ये पर्टिकुलर सेल वो क्लिक कर लो. C18, आप क्या बोलोगे कंप्यूटर को कि C18 के अंदर जो भी नंबर लिखा है आप वो लो और आप उसको 2 से डिवाइड करो. आंसर या तो 0 आएगा या तो 1 आएगा. Now suppose the answer is 0. That means that is an even number, right? If your answer is 1, that means it is an odd number. So there are some conditional formattings that you can do in Excel. So ये cell है, मुझे यहाँ पे कुछ condition रखना है. I can go to conditional formatting, highlight cell rules. If it is going to be equal to 0, then please let it be green. Otherwise, if it is going to be equal to 1, then please let it be red. So conditional formatting has the following options. Okay, all of these rules are there. Now conditional formatting in your Google Sheets is a bit different. Okay. So conditional formatting in Google Sheets I really like. The reason is that it provides me with a lot of options, whether my cell is empty, whether it is not empty. So you can give a background color, you can change the text color, you can do all of that based on some condition that you are going to put forth. Okay, so conditional formatting in Excel is also very, very important because it provides half of your conclusion by itself. The computer is doing half of the work by itself. You don't need to hunt for zeros. You don't need to hunt for ones. You don't need to hunt for anything. You have taught the computer कि अगर ऐसा कुछ आता है तो please आप ऐसा कर लो, and the computer will do the rest. So this is called as conditional formatting. Okay, and the conditional formatting options in your Excel sheets, in your Google Sheets are really nice. So if you want, you can use conditional formatting from here as well. Now coming back to my Excel, let me type a number, say, let me type 28. As soon as I press 28, the background color is green and it's 0. That means that this is an even number. Now suppose I do take 29. As soon as I click on 29, it becomes 1. Because 29 does not go in the table of 2. When divided by 2, it will give you the remainder as 1. And that means it is an odd number. So if you want, आप ये वाला particular cell, just click on it, उसको background color green दे दो. Next cell जो है, उस पे click करो, उसको background color थोड़ा सा red दे दो. ठीक है? I do not have it quickly over here, so I'm just using this color. And simply write is for even, is for odd. So whoever the user is, आप उसको conclusion provide कर रहे हो ना कि उसने जो भी नंबर लिखा है वो इवन नंबर लिखा है कि नहीं, या ऑड नंबर लिखा है तो वो यहाँ पे background color change हो जाएगा. So this is a calculator to find out whether the certain number is even or whether the certain number is odd. Similarly, you can do it for many other things as well. Okay. So from here we learned about conditional formatting and the modulus function. And from this example, we learned about your absolute references and how you can give a formula with an equal to sign. So similarly, there are a lot of functions. There are some functions of sum if. So they are going to add based on a condition. Then you have count if, which they are going to count based on a condition. So I think it's better if I just give you a quick example. So I have, say, suppose the name of the student. I have the roll number, I have the age, I have the class, I have marks 1, I have marks 2, and I have the total marks with me. I'm just going to fill up 2-3 rows. So I have Ali, I have Aniket, and I have Rekha. Okay. Roll number 001, 002, 003. And then I have the age as 23, say 23 and 22. Class from A division, from B division, and she is also from A division. Marks 1, 35, 38, and 40. And we have got 23, and we have got 18, and we have got 9. So the total is nothing. So how are you going to find out the total? You can either add or you can use the sum function. So the sum function, you need to give the parameter. So you're going to say, please add these two together, close the round bracket. And then you can autofill with the help of this sum function. As soon as you autofill, यहाँ पर E3 F3 हो जाता है, यहाँ पे E4 F4 हो जाता है. और ऐसे आपका पूरा जो डेटा सेट है वो क्रिएट हो जाता है. Now suppose I want to find out what was the total marks of say a person who was in the A division. So I can use the sum if function. So it is over here we use the sum function, right? Sum function means that you are adding. The sum if function means that you are adding, but you are adding with the help of a condition that is there. So सबसे पहली कंडीशन तो ये है कि मुझे वो बच्चों को ढूंढना है जो ए डिवीजन में थे. और अगर एक ए डिवीजन में बच्चे हैं तो मुझे उनका टोटल मार्क्स फाइंड आउट करना है. टोटल मार्क्स का जो भी टोटल है वो फाइंड आउट करना है. सो द वेरी फर्स्ट थिंग टू डू इज टू हंट फॉर स्टूडेंट्स हु आर देयर इन द ए डिवीजन, राइट? हाउ आर यू गोइंग टू हंट फॉर देम? सबसे पहले आप वो क्लास के कॉलम में जाओगे और उसके डेटा सेट्स को सिलेक्ट करोगे. इसके बाद आपका क्राइटेरिया होता है. क्राइटेरिया मेरा क्या है कि वो ए डिवीजन के बच्चे होने चाहिए. तो आप क्लास के कॉलम में जाओ और वहां पे हंट करो. किस चीज को हंट करना है? ए को हंट करना है. यू आर गोइंग टू हंट फॉर स्टूडेंट्स इन द ए डिवीजन एंड देन आपको टोटल किस चीज का निकालना है? मुझे टोटल मार्क्स का निकालना है. ओके. एंड विद दिस आई फाउंड आउट द टोटल marks of the students who are there in A division. Similar to sum if, you have something called as a count if. So suppose I want to count how many students are there in A division. I simply say ये वाली class के data set में जाओ और मेरा criteria A है. Tell me how many students were there in the A division. So there were 2 students in the A division. Similar to this, you also have your average if function, जो बिल्कुल ऐसा ही है, सिर्फ ये है कि average find out करके बताता है. So even if you want to add based on a condition, you can do that. Okay.
अम्मा अम्मा हट जा पर अम्मा अरे बोल रही हूँ.
So you have your sum function. Similar to the sum function, you can have your average and your count. Then you have sum if. Similar to sum if, you can also have your count if and your average if. Now I come to a point where I want to count the total, or where I want to find out the total. Okay. But this time I have a lot of conditions. मेरी कंडीशन क्या है? ए डिवीजन में भी होना चाहिए, उसकी एज 22 से भी ज्यादा होना चाहिए, एंड उसने जो पहला टेस्ट है मार्क्स 1, उसमें उसको कम से कम 25 से ज्यादा आना चाहिए, तो ही उसका फाइनल टोटल कैलकुलेट करो, अदरवाइज नहीं कैलकुलेट करो. सो व्हेन यू हैव अ लॉट ऑफ डिफरेंट कंडीशंस, इट्स सिमिलर टू सम इट, बट क्या हो जाएगा जब ज्यादा हो जाएगा, ज्यादा कंडीशन आ जाएगी, तो आई जस्ट राइट सम इफ्स, एक्स्ट्रा एस डाल दूंगी टू डिनोट द मल्टीपल. यहाँ पर सबसे पहला पैरामीटर ये होगा कि आपको फाइनल किस चीज का सम चाहिए. जस्ट गिव इट द रेंज, एंड देन आफ्टर द रेंज आपको जो भी कंडीशन बतानी है आप बताते जाओ. तो मेरी सबसे पहले कंडीशन थी कि उसकी एज 23 से ज्यादा होनी चाहिए, तो एज वो एज के कॉलम में ढूंढेगा. सो आई एम गोइंग टू गिव डिनोट द एज कॉलम, एंड एज कॉलम की कंडीशन क्या है, ग्रेटर देन 23 होना, 22 होना चाहिए. देन I've just put a point here, I'll erase it. Then my second condition is the person should belong to A division. So this is my second condition. यहाँ पे जाके वो A को हंट करेगा. And then my third condition was marks 1 में उसको 25 से ज्यादा आना चाहिए. So I'll say greater than 25. And with this I am done. तो सबसे पहले मैंने उसको बता दिया कि मेरे को फाइनल सम किसका चाहिए. फिर ये वाले कॉलम में जाओ, ये पर्टिकुलर कंडीशन को ढूंढो. फिर ये वाले कॉलम में जाओ, ये पर्टिकुलर कंडीशन को ढूंढो. फिर ये वाले कॉलम में जाओ, ये पर्टिकुलर कंडीशन को ढूंढो. ऐसे करके मैंने बहुत सारी कंडीशंस दी. एंड देन व्हाट इट डिड वाज इट, 1 minute, आई जस्ट, okay. So the only person whose criteria was satisfied was this. I wrote 22. I wrote the age as 22. If I write the age as 22, then only this person is going to get accepted. सबसे पहला क्राइटेरिया है कि उसकी एज 22 होनी चाहिए, तो डन. सेकंड क्राइटेरिया है ए डिवीजन में होना चाहिए, डन. थर्ड क्राइटेरिया है पहले टेस्ट के अंदर उसको 25 से ज्यादा आना चाहिए, सो दिस इज डन. एंड विद दिस यू गेट टू हैव द टोटल. सिमिलरली अगर ये 22 को मैंने ग्रेटर देन 22 करा, तो ये पहला वाला आएगा, बिकॉज व्हेन आई से ग्रेटर देन 22, then 22 is no longer included, then it is 23 which is included. So even if you do have multiple conditions, please don't worry. Please don't worry, even if you have multiple conditions, you can use these formulas, okay, and you can derive an output. So when I say that you can do your calculations in Excel sheets, this is what I mean. So I'll just share with you the real life data, which you might see once you go to your office. So this is a real life data of my microbiology students, biotechnology students on lung cancer. So there is a column of patient ID. You've got the age, the gender, the smoking history, the years that they smoke, how many packs did they smoke, उनकी family history क्या थी, occupation, and so on and so forth. We have got a data set which goes till the column AF. Okay, and if you see, there are a lot of multiple rows. All in all, there are a lot of rows. Okay, so this is how your data set in your office is going to be like. Once you go to the data set in the office, जैसे मैंने D2 to D4, E2 to E4 data select किया था, that was very easy because it was only 3 rows of data. Okay, for your case, what you can do, ये जो ABCD दिख रहा है ना, आप सिर्फ वो कॉलम को ऐसा सिलेक्ट करोगे तो all the values will be selected. ठीक है, you don't have to keep on selecting and scrolling down. Just click on that particular column and the rest will be done. Fine. There are a lot of basic things, but we'll not go over them. So there are things like, you can change the column width, you can change the column height, you can hide some columns, you can freeze some columns so that they do not move from that position. You can do all of that. So for example, when I'm going to take a look at my data, of lung cancer. Okay, and when I scroll to the right hand side, I am no longer in contact with the patient ID, right? मुझे patient ID नहीं दिख रहा. Suppose मैं चाहती हूँ कि मुझे पूरा टाइम मेरा patient ID दिखता रहे. What you can do is that just select this particular column, okay, and go to view. When you go to view, there is an option of freeze. So just ask it to freeze that first column. So this first column has been freezed. That means it is not going to move from its position. So even if I'm going to the extreme right hand side of my screen, the patient ID will still be visible. Okay. Similarly, if I'm coming down, if I'm scrolling down, I can no longer see the heading, right? So if I want that, I can simply go to view again and I can say, please freeze one. So even if you are there at the very last, you will still be able to see the heading which is there. So all of these are parts of the basic Excel, but since our course is of the advanced Excel, we will be sticking more to functions and formulas. Okay. Now let's go back to Excel. Fine. So I hope that everybody is very fine with the sum ifs function. Similarly, you have the count ifs function, and then similarly you have your average ifs function, and so on and so forth. There is a function called as your if function, very basic conditional function. आपको क्राइटेरिया देना है और कंप्यूटर को बताना है कि ये क्राइटेरिया अगर ट्रू हुआ तो क्या करना है और अगर फॉल्स हुआ ये क्राइटेरिया तो क्या करना है. Suppose I say that this particular cell, okay, is equal to Ali. Then what to do? क्राइटेरिया तो मैंने दे दिया कि A2 इक्वल टू अली होना चाहिए. अगर मेरा A2 इक्वल टू अली है तो आप वहां पे बोल दो राइट, और अगर नहीं है तो आप उसको बोल दो रॉन्ग. ठीक है. सो दिस इज योर इफ कंडीशनल फंक्शन. वो क्राइटेरिया देखेगा, अगर क्राइटेरिया की वैल्यू सेटिस्फाइड है तो आपने यहाँ पे वैल्यू इफ ट्रू में क्या लिखा है राइट, तो राइट आंसर देगा, अदरवाइज वो आपको रॉन्ग आंसर देगा. व्हेन आई क्लिक ऑन ओके, व्हेन आई प्रेस एंटर, इट गिव्स मी राइट. सो दैट मीन्स दैट A2 के अंदर अली है. नाउ सपोज आई रिमूव दिस, आई राइट डाउन विराट. अभी A2 की वैल्यू चेंज हो गई, इट इज नो लॉन्गर इक्वल टू अली एंड दैट इज व्हाई इट हैज गिवन मी रॉन्ग. Okay, so based on this, what we did, see, it's a normal if conditional function. You can use it on your data. Okay, you can use it on your data. You can say that if the total is going to be greater than this, then say pass. Otherwise, say fail. So I can say if this particular thing is going to be greater than, this was a 60 marks paper, or let's say 100 marks paper. So if this thing is going to be greater than 40, then you are going to say pass. Otherwise, you are going to say fail. Okay. So the particular student has passed. Similarly, I can all use autofill and accordingly I will get the answer. Now suppose if this person would not have got 38, this person would have got 18, then this person would have failed. क्योंकि उसका आंसर टोटल कितना आता था 36, which is not greater than 40, and that is why this particular person has failed the exam. So just by putting that one condition, एक ही रो के अंदर आपको डालना है वो कंडीशन और फिर ऑटो फिल करना है. But just by doing that one condition, you have made sure कि आपका जो भी डेटा सेट है वो थोड़ा बहुत आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस पे बेस्ड. So it is not you who is sitting and calculating for 1,000 rows, 1,500 rows of data and so on and so forth. आपने कंप्यूटर को सिखा दिया है, आपको सिर्फ ऑटो फिल करना है and the rest the computer is going to do. Okay, so that is why I am not going much into data. I will show you the data how it looks like, but I really want you to understand what exactly is the if conditional statement. Okay. So my students who I'm teaching Excel, they are second year students, SY BCom, and देयर कम्स अ टाइम व्हेन जब वो अकाउंट्स लेक्चर में जाते हैं और इतना नंबर्स देख लेते हैं वो वहां पे कि उनको मेरे लेक्चर में आके नंबर्स नहीं देखना होता, which is also right, because they do require some break, otherwise it will be a very difficult task for them. तो हम कुछ ऐसे प्रोजेक्ट करते हैं जहां पर दे आर यूजिंग देयर क्रिएटिविटी in the projects. They are not going to deal with numbers. They are only going to understand the formula. They are only going to understand the function. और वो फंक्शन के बेसिस के ऊपर वो अपने लिए खुद कुछ बनाएंगे. Okay. So I don't know whether I do have it with me or not. I think I might be having. Just okay. Let's see. I would really like to do it over here, and I would have really loved अगर आप लोग भी मेरे साथ वो इंटरैक्ट करके स्क्रीन शेयर करके हम कुछ कर रहे होते, but that is fine. I'll just show you a couple of projects that the students did. Okay, all right. Yeah. So you remember that even odd calculator? These were the even odd calculators which you did, and where is that one? Yeah, this one. Really nice. So this is a student who put in that background image of Hogwarts. और यहाँ पर उसने एक क्वेश्चन पूछा है, व्हाट इज हैरीज पैट्रोनस. ठीक है, अभी यहाँ पे हमने लॉजिक क्या यूज किया है. इट इज अ क्विज गेम विच हैज बीन क्रिएटेड ऑन एक्सेल, एंड इट इज डेटा एनालिसिस, क्योंकि हम यूजर जो भी एंटर कर रहे हैं हम उसको एनालाइज करके आंसर बताएंगे. डेटा एनालिसिस नॉट नेसेसरी हैज टू बी नंबर्स एवरीवेयर. द यूजर इज गोइंग टू एंटर अ डेटा, राइट. तो कभी कभी क्या होता है ना, इन केस there are times when the user will write dear. There is a time when the user might write dear like this. There is a time when the user might write dear like this. अभी उसके हर चीज के ऊपर तो हम फंक्शन नहीं बना सकते ना. It would have been very easy if I would have simply told the computer that if this is equal to dear, तो आप right बताओ या तो फिर आप wrong बताओ. But when I have a lot of possibilities, how do I go forward? So is there an option to consolidate these possibilities? And if I want to consolidate these possibilities, then there is a function called as upper. ठीक है? So suppose I write say maybe camel over here. Okay, I'll just remove the caps lock. Suppose I do write camel over here, and then I'm using the upper function. I will say upper, and I'll select the cell where I've written camel. तो वहां पे जो भी लिखा होगा ना टेक्स्ट, वो उसको अपर केस में कर देगा. तो आप कुछ भी लिखो ना, इवन इफ यू हैव written camel with a capital C, it will still remain like this. Even if you have written camel like this, say C, A, then M, then E, then L. Even if you write like this, or if your keyboard is overacting, so what you can simply press enter. जो भी होगा, whatever you write over here, it has to get converted into uppercase. And as soon as it gets converted into uppercase, हमारे पास तो एक ही possibility बचती है, इसके अलावा और कोई possibility है ही नहीं. So what we did over here, यहाँ पर यूजर ने आंसर लिखा, उसके नीचे वो दिखाया नहीं है हमने फॉन्ट कलर ऐसा बनाया कि वो छुप गया. हमने इसको अपर केस में कन्वर्ट कर लिया, वॉट एवर आंसर द यूजर इज गोइंग टू राइट. एंड देन हमने नॉर्मल इफ की कंडीशनल लूप लगाई कि अगर इसका आंसर विल बी इक्वल टू दिस तो आप उसको बोल दो राइट, अदरवाइज आप उसको बोल दो रॉन्ग. एंड देन वी यूज्ड वन मोर इफ कंडीशनल लूप एट द बॉटम साइड ऑफ द स्क्रीन. और बोला कि अगर ये सेल में राइट लिखा है तो बोलो प्लीज स्क्रॉल डाउन, और अगर राइट नहीं लिखा है तो उसको बोलो ट्राई अगेन. तो यहाँ पे भी कंडीशनल लूप यूज हो गई. एंड देन यहाँ पर यूजर ने आंसर लिखा, ये आंसर को कंप्यूटर ने एनालाइज करके यहाँ पे आंसर दिया. जैसे ही यहाँ पे आंसर आया, कंप्यूटर ने एनालाइज करके यहाँ पे आंसर दिया. तो यहाँ पे दो पॉसिबिलिटी है, या तो प्लीज स्क्रॉल डाउन आएगा या तो ट्राई अगेन आएगा. व्हाट वी डिड, एक यहाँ पे बीच में हमने एक और इफ कंडीशनल लूप यूज किया और बोला अगर यहाँ पे प्लीज स्क्रॉल डाउन आया है तो कुछ भी मत दिखाओ, बट अगर यहाँ पे ट्राई अगेन आया है तो प्लीज शो द हिंट ओवर हियर. तो द हिंट विल ओनली बी शोन टू यू अगर यहाँ पे ट्राई अगेन आता है. और यहाँ पे ट्राई अगेन तभी आएगा जब आपका यहाँ पे रॉन्ग आता है, और आपका रॉन्ग तभी यहाँ पर आएगा जब आपका आंसर जो आपने दिया है वो रॉन्ग होगा अकॉर्डिंग टू अस. तो it is the normal if conditional loop, but you could actually use it like this and you can create something on your own. So I'll just play the video for you to see. Okay. So you could use if conditional loops like this and get an outcome. This was one more for, I think this was about dialogues. So you would only guess the actor who gave this particular dialogue, and then you will get your answer pin. So the students have only used the normal if conditional loop and they created a quiz game. So everybody had to create a quiz game on different topics, whatever that they would like. And only by using the if conditional loops, उनका वो जो quiz game था वो बन पाया. So you can also do something like that. Fine. So that is about your if conditional loop. So in your Excel, you can do the normal calculations with the help of your formulas, with the help of your functions, and even with the help of functions you can do a lot of other things. Okay, now suppose that I am going to talk about, I'm working for a travel company. Okay, and I'm talking about temperatures in areas. Okay, I'll just merge these two cells. Okay, temperatures in areas. So I have got Mumbai, I have got Delhi, I've got Goa, I've got Jaipur, and I've got Kashmir. Okay, and accordingly, what I have done is I will say that Mumbai has a temperature of say 27, Delhi has a temperature of say 8, Goa has a temperature of say 32, Jaipur has a temperature of say 38, and Kashmir has a temperature of say -4. Okay. Now the travel agent wants me to depict each and every area based on whether it is cold, whether it is warm, or whether it is hot. Okay. तो यहाँ पे मेरे पास कितनी कंडीशन है? 3 कंडीशन. अगर वो कोल्ड होगा दैट मीन्स इट्स गोइंग टू बी लेस देन 18 डिग्री सेल्सियस. अगर वो वार्म होगा दैट मीन्स इट इज गोइंग टू बी से लेस देन 28 डिग्री सेल्सियस. अदरवाइज इट इज गोइंग टू बी हॉट. फाइन. तो ऐसा 3 डिफरेंशिएशन के अंदर मुझे मेरे ट्रैवल एजेंट ने एक टास्क दिया है. बट दे आर 3 कंडीशन, और एक इफ की कंडीशन के अंदर कंडीशनल स्टेटमेंट में मैं एक ही कंडीशन यूज कर सकती हूँ. उसके अलावा आई कैन नॉट यूज एनी अदर कंडीशंस. एंड द ट्रैवल एजेंट हैज गिवन मी अ टास्क कि आपको ये एक ही लाइन में खत्म करना है, आपका जो भी फॉर्मूला है. यू कैन नॉट एक्सटेंड इट टू मोर लाइन. So what I would do is that I would start for, I have just increased the space for this formula bar so you can see what I'm doing. मैं if conditional statement से start करती हूँ, and I am going to say that if this particular cell is going to be uh, less than 18 degrees, okay, then you say that it is going to be cold. Otherwise, what to do? अगर वो कोल्ड होगा तो हम बता देंगे कि कोल्ड है, बट अगर कोल्ड नहीं हुआ तो what if my value is false? Then can I not have an option to check out another condition? So again I will write if, and then again I'll say this particular thing is less than 28. Then please write down wrong. और अगर ये वाली कंडीशन भी सेटिस्फाई नहीं हुई तो थर्ड पैरामीटर तो हमेशा वो कंडीशन का होता है, वो चीज होती है जो फॉल्स होनी चाहिए। तो अगर ये भी सेटिस्फाई नहीं हुई तो एक और बार इफ लूप ट्राई करते हैं और बोलेंगे दैट इफ दिस थिंग is going to be greater than 28, then please say that it is hot. So I have less than 18. अगर लेस देन 18 हुआ और कोल्ड आया तो वो आपको आंसर बता देगा, बट अगर वो 18 से लेस देन इट गोज टू द नेक्स्ट कंडीशन। ये वाली कंडीशन देखते हैं, अगर ये वाली कंडीशन ट्रू नहीं है तो वो ये वाली कंडीशन देखेगा, एंड वंस this condition is also not accepted, now all my possibilities are over, I will simply write down NA, that means not available। और जब मैं राउंड ब्रैकेट क्लोज करूंगी तो ये इफ की राउंड ब्रैकेट ओपन हुई, ये क्लोज हुई, बट मेरे पास एक और इफ कंडीशन यहाँ पे है तो इसकी भी राउंड ब्रैकेट क्लोज करना होगा, और एक और इफ कंडीशन है यहाँ पे, इसकी भी राउंड ब्रैकेट क्लोज करना होगा। सो रिमेम्बर जितनी आप इफ कंडीशन यूज करोगे उतनी राउंड ब्रैकेट आपको क्लोज करनी पड़ेगी। सो दिस इज नथिंग बट अ नेस्टेड इफ लूप, ओके, दिस इज आई जस्ट पुट आई डिड नॉट पुट अ कॉमा, ओके, दिस इज अ नेस्टेड इफ लूप। नेस्ट तो देखा है ना आपने, any nest, it is full of twigs which are interconnected, intersected inside each other, so I call this as a nested loop। एक if की कंडीशन के अंदर दूसरी if की कंडीशन, उसके अंदर दूसरी if की कंडीशन, एंड दिस कैन गो ऑन, ओके, नॉट नेसेसरी। बट इससे क्या होता है ना कि आपने क्राइटेरिया बताया, अगर ये क्राइटेरिया ट्रू है तो क्या बताना, और अगर वो क्राइटेरिया फॉल्स है तो प्लीज आप कोई दूसरे क्राइटेरिया को देखो। अगर ये दूसरा क्राइटेरिया ट्रू हुआ तो ये दिखाओ, अगर ये फॉल्स हुआ तो दूसरे एक और क्राइटेरिया को देखो, अगर ये ट्रू हुआ तो ये दिखाई देगा, अदरवाइज इट विल सिंपली से नॉट अवेलेबल, बिकॉज ओवर हियर इन दिस पर्टिकुलर एग्जांपल you are exhausted of your option, and then what you can do is that you can simply autofill। So all you need to do is just sit and think about the formula in the first line, and once you autofill, everything comes, you get everything, you know that there is cold in Delhi, you know it's very hot in Goa, you know that it is very hot in Jaipur, you know that it is cold in Kashmir, and similarly the same thing could have been applied over here in the marks section। आप बता सकते थे कि अगर ये पर्टिकुलर बच्चे को 90 से ज्यादा मिलता है तो उसको A+ ग्रेड दे दो, और अगर नहीं मिला तो 80 से ज्यादा ट्राई करो, अगर 80 से ज्यादा मिला मार्क्स तो उसको A ग्रेड दे दो, अगर ये भी नहीं हुआ तो 70 से ज्यादा ट्राई करो, तो अगर 70 से ज्यादा होगा तो फिर उसको B ग्रेड मिल जाएगा, 60 से ज्यादा होगा तो C ग्रेड मिल जाएगा, एंड सो ऑन एंड सो फोर्थ, एंड देन व्हेन यू आर एग्जॉस्टेड ऑफ योर ऑप्शंस you can simply say absent। अगर वो बच्चा फेल हुआ तो उसको ज्यादा से ज्यादा तो जीरो, कम से कम 0 मार्क्स तो मिलेंगे, और अगर उसको 0 मार्क्स भी नहीं मिले, वो आपकी कंडीशन सेटिस्फाई नहीं होती, दैट मीन्स दैट स्टूडेंट वाज एब्सेंट, ही डिड नॉट गेट एनी मार्क्स, उसको वहां डैश मिला, इट वाज अ हाई फेल। सो यू कुड हैव यूज्ड दैट इफ कंडीशनल लूप, and your office staff, whoever is there in the office, they could have simply autofilled it, So even if there are say 10,000, 2,000 students, you are automatically getting grades for the students only by using the if conditional rule. इससे हमारा artificial intelligence हो जाता है थोड़ा बहुत because the computer is reverting back. इससे हमारा data analysis भी हो जाता है because the computer is able to catch the data and understand the data based on the formula that you have shown. And that makes you as a programmer because the formula is only going to come from the programmer's perspective. It is the programmer who has written that particular formula which can come in use anywhere. Okay. So in this way, you can use your nested if conditional statement and you can actually show any kind of output that you require. Okay. So this is one part where you are doing calculations in Excel based on your conditional statements, based on your conditional formatting, based on your functions, based on your formulas, and based on your absolute references. अगर आपको सिर्फ ये इतना कॉन्सेप्ट एकदम क्लियर हो गया ना शॉर्ट में, then you can create anything on your at your end. And the students who did the project this year, वो लोग ने एक वेबसाइट का टेम्पलेट बनाया, मतलब एक वेबसाइट का लेआउट बनाया. So that is what is required by your bosses. They want the employees to do something on their behalf, be creative, and help the community around. Okay? That is something that is going to make you look and make you act very skilled. And you will be skilled if you are there to achieve it. If I'm only simply sitting and telling my employee to do something and the employee does it, so he has done it. But in the end, it's not for the growth of the company. If I want an employee who contributes to the growth of the company, who wants to become a very important part in the company, then he has to use such kind of personal projects. He has to show the boss that see मेरे सर्टिफिकेट पे या अगर मेरे मार्कशीट के ऊपर ये लिखा है कि मैंने एक्सेल का ऐसा कुछ कोर्स लिया है, so it is not only written, I will let my work do the talking. Okay, and always let your work do the talking. Never say that you studied this. Always say that I created this because I studied this in college. Okay, तो यहाँ से एम्प्लॉयर को आपकी क्रिएटिविटी मिलती है, उसको पता चलता है कि you can actually show some kind of output. You have not only just done the theory, you have also done some practical work. इसके आगे जाके in your calculations, you might, of course, come across some graphs. Okay, so the graphs can be accessed from the insert tab. So the ribbons of the insert tab, do you see this? There is an arrow. It is going to lead you to a pop-up of all the charts which are there. So there are different kinds of charts. You've got your column, you've got your inside column also, you've got different types, whether you want it to be a 2D, you want it to be a 3D. Then you've got your line graphs, your pie charts, your bar area, you've got the XY scatter plot, you've got your map, you've got the stocks, the surface. If you are talking, if you want to do something on the mathematical perspective, there's a radar chart, there's a tree map, there is a sunburst, histogram, box and whisker, waterfall, etc. In my experience, जहाँ तक के my students have worked in companies and they have been interns, only if you are very deep into the project or only if you are focused on a single outcome, then ये जो एक्स्ट्रा चार्ट्स हैं इनकी नीड आती है. बट अगर आपको क्लाइंट को डायरेक्ट कुछ समझाना है एंड यू वांट टू मेक श्योर कि क्लाइंट ने ये चीज समझी है एंड यू डू नॉट वांट टू कॉम्प्लिकेट एनीथिंग, it is best that you stick to your column, your line, your pie and your plot. Bar graph. These 4 graphs are very important. अगर सिर्फ आपने ये 4 ग्राफ भी समझ लिए ना, then it's very easy. You can easily share it with your client. You can explain to your client. And only by using these 4 charts, the client will understand the situation which is there or the problem, whatever is going to be there, it is easier for the client to understand these charts. All of these charts, unless and until you are not working singularly on them, they are very confusing. They will confuse you, they will confuse the client, and in the end, there will be no satisfaction level of index. Okay? So I would suggest that you take a look at these charts, but always अगर आपका काम लाइन पाई बार और स्कैटर प्लॉट के ऊपर हो जाता है तो आप प्लीज यहाँ तक के ही रहिए. These are the best graphs which are available. Okay, and now we come towards the last part of MS Excel, which is the advanced version. So there are three things that I would like you to do. Suppose that I have created a form. Okay, so I'll just merge
Ma'am, there's
these.
a question. You want me to take it right away or later towards the Q&A?
Ma'am, is it something pertaining to what I've just taught?
It's about chart.
Okay.
So I'll read it. It says, ma'am, how can we restrict someone from copying a cell from your prepared chart?
Copying a cell.
Yes, I'll put it in open
No,
chat.
so see, what happens is that the chart is going to be created based on the values that I have selected, right? Now, these particular cells, you can always go to format cells, you can lock or you can protect. Okay, so that nobody can make any changes to them and you can even lock the cell. But even after locking the cell, you will be able to work in it because you yourself are the user, right? You yourself are the editor. Only when you collaborate with someone, you want to share it with somebody, they will not be able to touch that particular cell. So if you lock it, they will not be able to touch that particular cell. और अगर वो लोग सेल को टच कर ही नहीं पाएंगे तो दे विल नॉट बी एबल टू डू एनीथिंग टू योर ग्राफ because आपका graph solely depends on the values that you are putting over here, and as soon as you log those values, it makes no difference if the person does something to the chart because the chart is not at all going to change. Okay,
Yes, ma'am. Zoya, if you want, you can unmute also. Else, I hope ma'am has answered your query. Thank you, ma'am.
okay, all right. So we were on sheet 2. Suppose that I have created a health form. Okay, so यू कैन डू ऑल ऑफ दिस इन एक्सेल. तो क्या होता है ना, यूजुअली कंपनीज के अंदर एक लेआउट होता है उनके इंटरफेस का, एंड इफ यू कैन एक्चुअली develop that layout in Excel itself, which can then be shared and collaborated using your LAN network, जो आपका local area network होता है, जो CPU के पीछे the Wi-Fi wire which is there. If that is connected within all the computers in the office, then everybody will be able to access the document. Okay, so this is the health form. Now suppose I want to ask the name of the person. Okay, I want to ask the age of the person. I want to ask the mobile number of the person. ठीक है, एक्सेल है ना, तो डेटा तो एंटर करना ही पड़ेगा, और डेटा एंटर करना पड़ेगा तो नॉट नेसेसरी के डेटा आपका एक सिंगल टाइप का हो. डेटा कैन बी ऑफ मल्टीपल टाइप. ठीक है, एंड यू से that let this be where the user is going to type the name, let this be where the user is going to type the age, and let this be where the user is going to type the mobile number. ठीक है, डू यू थिंक यूजर ने ऐसा कुछ नंबर लिखा अपने फॉर्म में तो आपको एक्सेप्ट करना चाहिए? दिस मोबाइल नंबर is, it does not exist only, right? We can have mobile numbers up to a maximum digit of 10, or if you are using telephone numbers up to a minimum digit of 8. उससे ज्यादा तो जाएगा नहीं. तो is there some way that I can restrict whoever is going to fill the data in my spreadsheet according to whatever I want it to be. So I don't want the mobile number to be so long. ऐसा होना ही नहीं चाहिए. So all of this comes under the category of something called as data validation. ठीक है? आप कंप्यूटर को बता रहे हो कि डेटा को एनालाइज करके उसको एक्सेप्ट करना है कि उसको एक्सेप्ट नहीं करना. Where are you going to find this data validation? You are going to find it in the data tab. ठीक है? डेटा टैब के अंदर एक डेटा वैलिडेशन आता है. ओके, डेटा वैलिडेशन इज अ पॉपअप विच फर्स्ट इज गोइंग टू इंक्लूड आपका क्राइटेरिया क्या है. अभी राइट नाउ मेरा क्राइटेरिया क्या है कि जो टेक्स्ट लेंथ है दैट शुड बी बिटवीन 8 टू अ मैक्सिमम ऑफ 10. मतलब मेरा जो मोबाइल नंबर की जो लेंथ है वो मिनिमम 8 डिजिट्स की हो सकती है, मैक्सिमम 10 डिजिट की हो सकती है. इसके अलावा वो और नंबर्स की या कम नंबर्स की नहीं हो सकती. Is there any input message that you would like to give? So I can say that say suppose input message is let me just write down X. I'll write down please type, sorry, please type your mobile number. And in case there is an error, तो आप डिसाइड करो आप यूजर को सिर्फ इन्फॉर्म करना चाहते हो या आप यूजर को सिर्फ वार्निंग देना चाहते हो या तो फिर आप यूजर को स्टॉप करना चाहते हो. अगर आपको एक्चुअली यूजर का मोबाइल नंबर चाहिए और वो मोबाइल नंबर इज नॉट अकॉर्डिंग टू हाउ यू वांट इट, you have full liberty to stop the user. And when you stop the user, you need to tell the user, please type valid mobile number of at least 8 to 10 digits. Okay, and then you can simply click on OK. So when I'm going to select this particular cell, I'm going to get an input message. ये input message क्या है? Please type your mobile number. Fine, I typed my mobile number. Now when I press enter, this mobile number is not at all accepted by me. Okay, and the user will not be able to go ahead. So the user can retry or the user can cancel, and over here the error message says please type valid mobile number of at least 8 to 10 digits. So okay, let me type a valid mobile number of at least 8 to 10 digits, and that has been accepted by the computer. So you can also create something interactive like this. Okay, and when I'm talking about creating some form layout or creating some web page layout or creating a layout for your office, data validation is something that you can use in Excel. Okay, it is simply going to take a look at the data and then it's going to say whether you are eligible or not. Suppose you ask the person for the birth date. Okay, you've asked the person for the birth date, and you only want to make sure that it is, say suppose people want to vote, they want to apply for a voting ID, they want to apply for a voting card or for an election card, then their age should at least be 18, right? So what you can do is you can again select this, you can go to data, you can go to data validation. So your settings are, there are going to be a lot of different criteria that you can have. Okay, now since it is a birth date, can I have a criteria of date? So the date should be between a starting date and ending date. So suppose as of today, which is say the 12th of February. So it is the 12th of February 2025. And I want this person to be at least 18 years old. So that means I can write down 12th February 2000 and say 6. So only if the user's birth date is going to be between this and this, then only you can ask the user to go ahead. Otherwise, in your error alert, you can inform the user that, sir or madam, you are not of age, or you have not fulfilled the age criteria, and therefore we cannot go ahead. So you can also create these things in Microsoft Excel. That is how much liberty Excel is providing you to create something on your own. Okay. After this, there is something called
Ma'am,
yeah.
there is a question on date.
Okay.
Uh,
Can I go back? What was
it
it?
says, ma'am, how can we calculate the number of working days from annual year? Is there a
Okay.
function for this in Excel?
So what you can do is that you can take the date. Okay. आप data validation से उसकी date ले लो. And then there is a function called as equal to days 360. Okay. So suppose I write down 12 to 2025. And over here, I have written, say, maybe 18th of January 2021. Okay. I'm just taking this as an example. There is a function of days 360. And what does this days 360 function do? I have not written 360. I'll do that. Yeah. Okay. So this is my start date. This is my ending date. And it will tell me the number of days which lasted between this date and this date. So even if you are taking dates, you can still subtract the dates and you can still find out the number of days which have passed. So if you are talking about an employee, you can always keep on updating the date of today. And this is anyways going to be there in the employee's profile. And you can start displaying a message to the employee that it has been so and so days since you joined. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
If you want, you can also convert this into hours. Okay, we all know that a day consists of 24 hours, and then 24 hours consists of, say, an hour is going to consist of 60 minutes, and each minute is going to consist of 60 seconds and all that. So you can still break down that number. You can still break down that 1464. Okay, it's possible. And if you want, you can simply use this days 360 calculator function, and you can create an age calculator. That is also possible. So if I want to simply know about today's date, there is a function of today which I can use, and it will tell me today's date. So there's no need to type today's date as well. You can simply use that function, and this birth date can be provided by the user. This particular date can be provided by your function, and you can always use the days 360 function. You will get a number, but you'll have to divide that number with 24, and then you need to divide that 24 with an hour each. So in that way, there is a possibility that you can tell this to the person ke uski age exactly hai kya. I think if you simply just divide this with say 360, right? So days 360, it has been 360 days. If I just divide one, if I simply divide
Ma'am,
this, yeah,
excuse me, ma'am. Ma'am, why haven't you taken
365.
365 days or
No,
366,
yeah, the day it is the days
360?
360 function. That is the name of the function. But over here I am taking 365.
Okay, ma'am, noted.
Okay, days 360 is the function which is going to calculate the difference between the days. Okay, so roughly it brings around 4 years, right? 4 years and 1 month. So it is actually 4 years and 1 month, right? Because 2021, 2025, and then this is February, this is January. So it is 4 years, 1 month. So in this way, just by using one function, which is equal to days 360, and if you want, you can use equal to today, you can actually develop an age calculator by your own. So that can calculate the age. And then if you want to tell, if you don't want to use data validation, suppose you do not know about data validation, then you can, once you calculate the age of the person, you can simply use an if conditional statement and say that if this particular cell value is going to be greater than 18, then say please move forward. Otherwise, simply say that you are not of age. Message will be reflected to the user, whoever is going to be using this interface. So that is one way if you don't know about data validation. But if you do know about data validation, then you can even do this. Okay?
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
All right. Now, just I think there are 3 more concepts to be done before we finish. There are actually a lot of concepts, and this is one of my favorite subject because there's like no stopping once you start working on spreadsheets. Um, have you all filled any form where it first asks you about your country एंड देन एक बार आप अपना कंट्री सिलेक्ट करते हो तो फिर वो आपको उसमें सिटीज का ऑप्शन देता है, पहले स्टेट्स का ऑप्शन देता है, फिर स्टेट्स का ऑप्शन देने के बाद आपको सिटीज का ऑप्शन देता है? ऐसा फॉर्म भरा है ना आपने?
Yes, ma'am.
यू कैन नॉट सिलेक्ट द सिटी, जब तक कि आप कंट्री नहीं सिलेक्ट करोगे आप सिटी सिलेक्ट नहीं कर सकते. तो क्या वो लिस्ट हम एक्सेल में बना सकते हैं? एंड द आंसर इज यस. So suppose I have something called as country, and country I'm selecting India, I'm selecting UK, I'm selecting USA, and so on. So from the country, the person can select India, UK, USA, right? Now, suppose I am going to create a list over here. I can simply hide this, huh? I can simply hide this. Let me just create a list over here. How do I create a list? I go to this cell, I go to data validation, और यहाँ पे उसने allow किया ना, so I'm going to allow a list, okay? And in the list, it is going to ask me the source. So what is the source from your list? Whatever you have written over here is your source, right? So this is your source. यहाँ पे आप list बनाओगे, ये आपका source है, and then you can simply click on OK. As soon as you click on OK, you can see that the drop down comes into play. Okay? Now this is a list. मेरे को लिस्ट नहीं बनानी, मुझे एक डिपेंडेंट लिस्ट बनानी. डिपेंडेंट लिस्ट क्या है? अगर मैंने इंडिया बोला तो ही आएगा, अदरवाइज नहीं आएगा, उसकी सिटीज नहीं आएंगी, एंड सो ऑन. सो सपोज दिस इज माय कंट्री, एंड देन व्हेन आई चूज कंट्री, द यूजर हैज ओनली 3 ऑप्शंस, राइट? या तो वो इंडिया को सिलेक्ट करेगा, या तो वो यूके को सेलेक्ट करेगा, या तो वो यूएसए को सेलेक्ट करेगा. अगर वो इंडिया को सेलेक्ट करता है तो आप उसको बोल दो महाराष्ट्र, राजस्थान, the spelling might be wrong, and can I have one more state? So let's say Karnataka. Okay, and actually let's do one thing, let's not take states. It would be better if I simply take Mumbai, I take Delhi, I take Goa. Okay, and London I can have UK, I can have London, and I can have something of say Liverpool. USA I can have say Florida, I can have LA, which is Los Angeles, and that's it. I'll just include one more. I'll just add in New York. Okay. So the user first is going to be having an option from India, UK, USA. And if he goes to India, he will have these 3 options. If he goes to UK, he will have these 2 options. If he goes to USA, he will have 3 options. Now suppose from India, he did select the option of Mumbai. So then Mumbai, I will have something called as Colaba. I will have something called as Fort. I will have something called as Bandra, and so on. Okay. तो आप जिस हिसाब से लिस्ट बनाना चाहते हो, जो लिस्ट बनाना चाहते हो, the very first thing is that you need to organize it carefully. Once you organize everything carefully, you need to select the entire data, because all of this is your header. कंट्री में जाओगे तो ये ऑप्शन है, फिर अगर इंडिया में जाओगे तो ये ऑप्शन है, यूके में जाओगे तो ये ऑप्शन है, यूएसए में जाओगे तो ये ऑप्शन है, मुंबई में जाओगे तो ये ऑप्शन है. तो आपको हेडर डिसाइड करना है. हेडर आप कैसे डिसाइड करोगे? फॉर्मूला टैग्स में एक क्रिएट फ्रॉम सिलेक्शन का ऑप्शन आता है, ठीक है। यहाँ पे ये बोलेगा क्रिएट नेम्स, ओनली कीप द टॉप रो। तो जैसे ही आप टॉप रो रखोगे, द टॉप रो इज गोइंग टू बिकम योर हेडर।
Ma'am, your voice is not audible.
Okay, I think in that flow, everybody got muted. I have a feeling. So where did you, where was I not audible? Can somebody help me? I'll just repeat what I did.
It was just once. Yes, yes, it was just the last statement, ma'am. Otherwise, you were audible.
Okay, okay. So
Hi.
country is my header, okay? And I want a drop-down list over here, right below country. So what is going to be my source? My source is going to be India, UK, US, which is going to be T17, T18 to T19. That is going to be my source. I will click on OK and let me see whether the list was created or not. So yeah, the list is created. So I have the option of India, I have the option of UK, and I have the option of US. Now, whatever is going to come next is going to be based on this, right? So let me have a title of city. अभी यहाँ पे भी मुझे ड्रॉप डाउन लिस्ट बनानी है। यहाँ पे जो भी ड्रॉप डाउन लिस्ट मैं बनाऊंगी वो पहले वाले आउटकम के ऊपर बेस्ड होगी। अगर मैंने यहाँ पे यूएसए सिलेक्ट किया तो मुझे यूएसए की सिटीज देखनी, इंडिया सिलेक्ट किया तो इंडिया की सिटीज देखनी। So when I create a list in the next cell, it will ask me for the source. I will tell it indirect. हम बोलते ना इनडायरेक्टली पूछ लो, डायरेक्टली नहीं पूछो, इनडायरेक्टली पूछ लो तो पता चल जाएगा। तो आई एम गोइंग टू से इनडायरेक्टली आप ये वाले सेल को देख लो, एंड अकॉर्डिंग टू दिस सेल व्हेन यू टेक अ लुक एट दिस सेल इनडायरेक्टली यू विल कम टू नो कि आपको कौन सी वैल्यू दिखानी है, एंड देन क्लिक ऑन ओके। सो व्हेन आई सिलेक्ट यूएसए, the cities of USA are going to be shown. When I select India from here, the cities of India is going to be shown. Okay. And then after the cities, we did one more step ahead, right? We went to areas. So over here, I can have areas also. And what is this going to be? Iska outcome will be based on iska outcome. So when I create a list, I will say that it is nothing, but please indirectly ask whatever cell value was over here. Okay, that's it. Yeah. Okay. So I have chosen my country as India. The city that is required is Mumbai. And as soon as you go to Mumbai, you see the areas of Mumbai. So this is something called as a dependency list. यहाँ पर आपने list बनाई. It was easy to create this list. But what about a list जिसका दूसरे वाले का outcome is based on the first वाले का outcome? So it is called as a dependent list. So you can in this way create a dependent list. Okay. So suppose you're working in a multinational company, you have got your countries, you have got your cities, and then you have got your area. So in this way, once the employee chooses it from the drop down, it gets saved in the cell, right? So what is going to be the value of V24? It is going to be Kolaba. What is going to be the value of U24? It is going to be Mumbai. What is the value of T24? It is going to be India. तो इसकी बहुत सारी वैल्यूज हैं, मल्टीपल पॉसिबिलिटीज, बट इन दी एंड यूजर जो सिलेक्ट करेगा वो उस सेल की वैल्यू बन जाएगी। और अगर आगे जाके आपको कुछ उस पर कंडीशनल स्टेटमेंट डालना है या अकॉर्डिंग टू व्हाट द यूजर हैज सिलेक्टेड आपको रेंज बताने, सपोज दिस वुड हैव बीन अ कार शोरूम, मर्सिडीज में आपको कौन सी गाड़ी चाहिए, कौन सी गाड़ी में आपको फ्यूल चाहिए कि डीजल चाहिए, आपको उसके हिसाब से प्राइसेस बताने हो तो यू कैन स्टिल डू इट। Okay, you can use your if conditional statement, you can use your nested if conditional statement, and just by taking a look at the values of whatever is there in the cell, it could have been done. All right. So this is all about data validation, which is nothing but a type of data analysis. It will take a look at your data and then it will go further. Now what happens is there are a total of 4 friends. Okay. The first friend has 200 rupees. The second friend has 500 rupees. The third friend has only 150 rupees. And the fourth friend has a total of say 90 rupees. Okay. So I will just find out the sum, right? The total money that they have. So this is the total money that they have, which is 940. So these 4 friends who have 940 rupees, they decide to go to a restaurant. ठीक है? और उनको पता है कि उनके पास टोटल पैसा कितना है. Suppose when they go to a restaurant का बिल कुछ अलग ही आता है. And according to that bill, they need to assign from one of them किसको extra पैसे घर से लेकर आने. So one person will have to go to the house, collect the money and then come back in order to do that. This is kind of a scenario where I am going to know the total amount and then according to the total amount, I need to make some changes over here. Okay. So this is something called as a what if analysis. क्या हो सकता है? What if analysis has 3 parts. One is the scenario manager, one is the goal sheet, one is a data table. When I go to goal sheet, it will say set cell. Set cell में आप हमेशा वो सेल का नाम लिखोगे जहां पे आपने अपना फॉर्मूला लिखा है या तो फिर जहां पे आपने अपना फंक्शन यूज किया. ठीक है. ये सेल सपोज उनका बिल आता है 1000 रुपीज. इट इज 940. बट सपोज उनका बिल आता है 1000 रुपीज. Then I need to say that suppose let the fourth friend go to the house. उसके पास 90 rupees. Now I want to know 90 rupees के बजाय fourth friend को कितना पैसा देगा. So I will select this fourth friend. I will click on OK. And it got updated to 150. So the final goal was achieved by changing the value from here. So the fourth friend knew कि अच्छा मेरे को 90 नहीं मेरे को 150 रुपीज घर से लेकर आने का है ताकि ये जो हमारा फाइनल होटल का बिल है वो हम पे कर सकते हैं. Similarly, if suppose you are an account student and there is principal, there is a rate of interest, there is a time, and there is your simple interest. And you say that let the principal be say 5,000 rupees, let the rate of interest be say 0.5 and say that the time required is 6 months. Okay. और यहाँ पर आपने simple interest का formula लगा दिया. You know that it is nothing but P into R into T divided by 100. So the simple interest is 150 rupees. Now the person says कि उसको 150 rupees नहीं चाहिए देने का है उसको 150 rupees के बजाय 100 rupees देना. And then he is going to consult you कि if I want to give only 100 rupees, then can you please give me extra time or can you please adjust my time? So can we change the time cell so that the 100 rupee simple interest is satisfied? So if the person wants to give a simple interest of 100 rupees and not 150 rupees, then उसको टाइम 6 महीने के बजाय 4 महीने में कंप्लीट करके दे. Okay, depending on whether you want to take months or whether you want to take years. So you can also change these values. So that means I am arriving at a final conclusion by changing one of the values from here. So this is called as goal sheet. आपको पता है आपका goal क्या है and in order to achieve that goal, you need to do some changes on the way. But just remember, never ever let the cell where your formula is going to be there change. You can set it to a value, but please do not change the value. Okay? So this is your goal seek. In goal seek, if you notice, it is allowing me to change only one cell. What if I want to change a lot of cells? Suppose I am working at a company and I have employees. So I am going to ask the income from the employees, and then I'm going to ask the employee that last month में आपका इलेक्ट्रिसिटी बिल कितना था, आपका जो हेल्थ बिल था, ठीक है, वो कितना था, आपने कितना रेंट पे किया, आपका ट्रांसपोर्ट में कितना गया, ट्रांसपोर्ट एंड ट्रैवल एंड सो ऑन. मैंने उसका एक्सपेंसेस उससे ले लिया, एंड देन आई हैव समथिंग कॉल्ड एज अ टोटल एक्सपेंसेस. ठीक है. I have something called as a total expense. So now say suppose his income was 50,000. इलेक्ट्रिसिटी में 5,000 चला गया, हेल्थ में से 7,000 चला गया, रेंट वॉज ऑफ से 15,000 एंड ट्रांसपोर्ट के अंदर ही गॉट टोटल 3,000. तो उसका टोटल एक्सपेंसेस इज नथिंग बट सम ऑफ whatever his expenses were, right? So I know his total expenses. What about his savings? His savings is not going to be something, his savings is actually whatever he earned minus whatever he spent. So he had a total savings of 22,700. This is from my employee. I know his income, I know his electricity, health, and everything which he has told me, and I know his pay. Okay, and this particular employee say is looking forward to some surgery that needs to take place, or he is looking forward to some relocation that needs to take place. ठीक है, where he might have to give more rent or something, or maybe he is trying to buy a property and he requires a lot of savings and he has approached me. So what am I going to do? I am going to use what if analysis, but in what if analysis I am going to create a scenario. ठीक है, मैं अलग अलग सिनेरियो बनाऊंगी और मैं मेरे क्लाइंट को समझाऊंगी कि वो क्या कर सकता है. तो लेट द फर्स्ट सिनेरियो बी एन ओरिजिनल सिनेरियो. व्हेन आई से ओरिजिनल सिनेरियो, इट विल से कि आपको कौन कौन से सेल्स चेंज करने हैं. इनकम को तो चेंज नहीं करूंगी, टोटल एक्सपेंसेस को भी चेंज नहीं करूंगी क्योंकि यहाँ पे फॉर्मूला है, सेविंग्स को भी चेंज नहीं करूंगी क्योंकि यहाँ पे भी फॉर्मूला है. सो द ओनली थिंग्स दैट आई कैन चेंज आर दीज 4 cells. Okay, so the scenario was made, and since this is the original scenario, I am not going to make any changes to it. I will simply click on OK. So this particular original scenario is visible on my screen. Now suppose I add a scenario of the person's health. Okay, again by changing these 4 cells. And when I am talking about health, which is the second one, I will say that suppose the user could actually save money on his health. He was eating on time, he was doing everything, and he spent around 3,000 on health. So that is the scenario of health. The next scenario is going to be the rent of the house. Now suppose the place where the user is relocating is has a lot of rent. So suppose say let it be 23,000. Okay. And one more scenario of say the transport. The user has actually come to live very close to whatever his workplace was. So instead of 300, the user is say spending only 100 rupees. So these were the different scenarios which I have created. And now I'm going to sit down with my client and I am going to explain the client the different scenario. And then I will let the client choose which is the best scenario. So I will make him sit down. I will say, see, this was your income. So if you do take a look, आपने इतनी सेविंग्स की है. बट एक सिनेरियो ऐसा है कि अगर आप अपना थोड़ा हेल्थ के ऊपर फोकस करोगे, इफ यू आर हैविंग हेल्दी फूड एंड इफ यू आर नॉट शोइंग अ लॉट ऑफ हेल्थ सिस्टम्स, just select this health scenario and click on the show button. Okay, as soon as you click on the show button, you see that the savings has increased because he was saving on his health. Similarly, if you are explaining it to about the rent, you say देखो अगर आप नया घर लेने जा रहे हो, अगर कुछ ज्यादा रेंट करने जा रहे हो, तो ये जो होगा वहां पर आपकी सेविंग्स बिल्कुल भी नहीं हो रही. Yes, you might come closer to the workplace, but in the end you are not having a lot of savings. आपका ट्रांसपोर्ट अगर आप देखते हो तो ठीक है, आपका ट्रांसपोर्ट है वो कम हो रहा है, दैट इज टेकिंग प्लेस. तो व्हाट डू यू थिंक इज बेटर? सर देखो, यहाँ पर आपका ट्रांसपोर्ट, अगर आप नजदीक आते हो तो आप ट्रांसपोर्ट पे पैसे बचा रहे हो, so you are having a saving of 22,900. But sir, if you are coming nearer, your rent is changing, and because of that, you are not going to be having a lot of savings. So, sir, are you really looking for a scenario like this? Or maybe if you just cut down on your health for some time, तो आपके पास सेविंग थोड़ी ज्यादा हो जाती है, और एक बार ये सेविंग ज्यादा होगी तो हम 3-4 महीने में देखेंगे whether you can buy a house or not. Or maybe something on your electricity bill, if you can just cut down on your electricity for several months, then sir it is possible कि आपका savings ऐसा आ सकता है, and so on and so forth. And there is something called a forecast sheet over here. Forecast sheet क्या करेगी? You give it some time, ठीक है, anything time related, you can give it days, you can give it months, you can give it years. So say in this particular month employee का ऐसा था, in this particular month employee का ऐसा था, वो forecast भी आपको बना के दे देगा. Right now I cannot do the forecast because I do not have the year into perspective, but the forecast sheet can actually create a forecast for you wherein you know आप exactly किधर जा रहे हो. इतना सेविंग्स करोगे तो क्या आपका सेविंग्स इंक्रीज होगा या आपका सेविंग्स डिक्रीज होगा. सो दिस इज समथिंग कॉल्ड अ सिनेरियो मैनेजर. आपके पास बहुत सारे सिनेरियोज है जो आप बनाते हो, एंड देन यू सिट डाउन विद योर क्लाइंट एंड देन यू आर एक्सप्लेनिंग योर क्लाइंट कि सर दिस कैन बी डन, दिस कैन बी डन, दिस कैन बी डन. तो इन दी एंड आप रोज कॉलम्स एवरीथिंग यू आर यूजिंग, एंड इन दी एंड आप कैलकुलेट ही कर रहे हो. But it is not always necessary that you're only calculating numbers. You are only analyzing numbers. MS Excel is going to help you analyze all the data types. Okay, they can be letters, they can be different things. Say you are creating a table over here, then you are creating an even odd calculator over here. Over here, you are just making sure which area has what kind of temperature. Over here, you are creating a health form. Then over here, you have an age calculator about days 360. Then you have a list, you have a dependency list, you have something called as a goal seek scenario, wherein you know the final outcome और उसके बीच के अंदर आपको change करना है. Or then you can have different scenarios which you can just explore client. Excel is not just about inputs. And same with Google Sheets, it's just the same. But yesterday, since we used Google Documents, I thought today we'll use one Microsoft software. Just sit down, just be, the more you explore and the more that you practice, the better you are going to get. And the better you are going to know that it is not some very boring software where you are doing a lot of calculations. You are actually, you can make the machine interact with your client, you can make the machine interact with the user, and you can get an outcome, you can get an output. And trust me, this is what the bosses in this generation want. They want you to do things like this. They want you to do it on your own so that you can show your capability to them. And the more capable that you are, see, degrees are good, your certificates are good, they only show what you have done. But in order to show what you have actually done, you need these real life projects. And the sooner you start, the better it is going to be. Okay, so that's it. That brings me to the end of my session. I would have really loved to just go on and interact with everybody, but of course, there are some time constraints which we need to adhere to. That's it from my end.
Yes,
Thank you, ma'am.
thank you, ma'am. Yes, sir, please.
Vishaka, continue, please.
Yeah, though, we were taking up questions as and when they came, just wanted to say, in case anyone has any question, you can put it in the chat box. Else, we'll proceed with vote of thanks, ma'am.
Yeah, that is fine. And I think just like yesterday, if the students can actually work on whatever project I have done or shown till now, the different kind of calculator scenarios, if you just do a project on that, I think it will be really helpful for everyone.
Sure, ma'am. yes, this content was actually new for me as well, most of it, like the application app part. So I'm sure there are some students who would want to take up this as a project. What we are planning now, ma'am, at the end, we are going to give them like a number of options for making an assignment,
Okay.
and then they can make on any topic. So whichever are on Word doc and Excel, will share with you
Yeah, that is
that
fine.
way.
Just share it with me, so I'll
So
also
hope
take a
that
look.
is okay.
I'll also
And
take a look. And
yeah,
I will
sure,
try, I
ma'am.
will see if I can share any of my students' projects with you all. I did share that once in the video. I don't know whether you all could see it or not. But there are a
Yes.
lot of projects which the
We saw
students
that
have done.
video.
Yeah.
Hanji. Yeah, that would be great, ma'am. I'm sure students would want to see that as well. So
Yeah.
I guess there are no questions. So then I request Vinay sir to please propose the vote of thanks. And after that, we'll take a group photograph.
Yeah, thank you,
Over
Vishal.
to you, sir.
Good evening, everyone. On behalf of our college, I extend my heartfelt thanks to Ms. Juveria for an insightful session on Excel and Google Sheet. Madam's expertise has truly enhanced, I think, the understanding of not only how the conditional formatting is, but even to some extent data analysis and automation of numbers. A special thanks to our principal, Professor Harmeet Kaur Basil Madam, the management, additional vice principal, Dr. Mona Bansal Madam, Dr. Purnima Sharma Madam, and one of our additional vice principal is still attending. So thank you, madam, for that support. Lastly, all the students for their enthusiasm and active participation. I think we should apply these skills for the continuous learning. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. So students, please note that the feedback link has been shared in the chat box already. And I request you all to please turn on your videos so that we can capture some memories.
Yeah, I've actually arranged for a
Sir
camera
and
angle.
ma'am as well.
So
Yes, ma'am.
hi.
Yeah. Hi. Nice seeing you.
Okay.
Other students, please join us. Quickly, I'll wait for 5 more seconds and then I'll take the snip. Okay, there we go.
That's it.
Just a second, ma'am. Few more have joined, so I'll take just one more. Done. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. And others can turn on their cameras. You're definitely getting captured on YouTube. So thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank
And
you.
yeah, so tomorrow we have a session on PowerPoint, and we have another speaker for that. So I hope that would be as interesting as it was today's and yesterday's as well, both the days. Thank you so much, ma'am. Students, please fill in
Thank
your
you.
feedback form before you
Can I
leave.
leave?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, and all the best for your future. Okay. Bye bye.
Bye, ma'am. Thank you. Vanessa, you are the host right now. Please make me host so that I can stop live stream.
Yes, Vishaka, I'll do that.
जैसे सिविलाइजेशन बढ़ता गया
Can carry.
तो कस्टम स्विच